They said to him, "Where is Sarah, your wife?" He said, "She's in the tent." And he said, "I will definitely return to you when it is the season again, and Sarah, your wife, will have a son." And Sarah, standing in the tent door behind him, heard. Abraham and Sarah were old, and they were showing it. Sarah was past menopause. So Sarah laughed to herself and said, "After I've gotten old, will I have pleasure, considering my husband is also old?" But the Lord asked Abraham, "Why did Sarah laugh, saying, 'Will I, who am old, surely bear a child?' Is anything too hard for the Lord? At the set time I will return to you when the season is here again, and Sarah will have a son." Then Sarah denied it. She said, "I did not laugh." She was afraid. He said, "No, you did laugh." Genesis 18:9 through 15. Hello, I'm Henry Neufeld, president of Pacesetters Bible School, with today's Running Toward the Goal. This morning I had an interesting experience. I just returned from New York, where I attended my mother's 90th birthday. It was an enjoyable time. Now, in preparing to go and leave town for a week, I unplugged a number of things in my office. I disconnected the computers, and I actually unplugged power cords. My office is across the yard from the house, and I have the network distributed here by bringing in cable, and then there's a switch here which also distributes it to my workbench and test bench and so on. I needed to get something off the laptop that I'd done in New York, and so I turned my laptop on and started to try to transfer the file, and found that I did not have a network connection. I started to check the various software issues, but then suddenly it occurred to me there was no power hooked up to the one little network switch that brings the power to the rest of the office, or brings the network to the rest of the office. There was power to everything else. There's power to the router. There was power to all of the systems in the house. There was even power bringing the network up to my main desktop machine. But there was no power to that one switch. Anybody who runs a network, of course, knows that one little box without power can cause all kinds of problems. But when I saw that, I started to wonder about our lives. It brought a lesson to me. It was easily fixed. I plugged it in. So many of us feel that we have given all of our life, or maybe most of our lives, to God. There are little corners left. There are little things left that are not under the power of the Holy Spirit. They're not hooked up to the real power. The question is, how well can our lives possibly work if even one little switch is not connected to the power of the Holy Spirit? Now, you may be wondering what that has with the text that I read. This story of God's promise to Abraham to give him a son is very interesting, because Abraham is an example of faith. He's used all through the Bible as an example of faith, and for very good reason. Starting back there in Genesis 12, God calls him to leave his home, leave his family, and just go, not even knowing where he was going to go. And the key thing about Abraham is he did. God said go, Abraham went. There's hardly a person out there that has that kind of surrender to God's will. But we see in the matter of bearing a son that even that great faith was tested. And Abraham and Sarah had gone to the second plan, to plan B, without letting God finish plan A, of using Hagar and bringing Ishmael into the family. And here God is, in a rather gentle way, saying, You may have chosen plan B. You may think that you're in charge of this part of your life, of this part of fulfilling the promise, but you're not. Everything in your life has to be under my power, and it's going to be. We could emphasize a lot of things, the miraculous power that God is about to display in bringing forth a son through this elderly couple. We could talk about not laughing about what God promises to do, but understanding that God will be faithful, that God will carry out his promises. But what I was thinking about this morning as I read this text and remembered my network switch that was unplugged, the one little thing that was unplugged is, no matter what you've given to God, if you're holding back a corner, it's going to slow you down, mess up your life. Wait for God to step in. Thanks for listening. Running Toward the Goal is brought to you each weekday by Pacesetters Bible School in Pensacola, Florida. Pacesetters Bible School is an organization dedicated to improving Christian education. To find out more about our programs and events, please check our website, BiblePaceCenter.org. That's all one word, BiblePaceCenter.org. Thanks for listening, and may God richly bless you.